buddy?
Hi, guys. Well, from snowy Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank Feldman.
And I'm Dan Beecher.
And coming up in a couple weeks, Dan, we have a special live stream event for New Year's Eve. It's our New Year's Eve extravaganza.
Oh, my gosh.
Live,
It's a big deal.
coast to coast.
Yeah, and beyond.
And
to
beyond.
other coasts. I mean, you know, it won't be like some of you will have already passed through into the next year. I don't know.
Some of you will
Who knows
not
what
have
year you'll
yet.
be in.
Yeah. But if you'd like to tune in, there's information up on our website.
You should tune in. This is going to be
good.
fun.
This is going to be good.
You guys.
We have, we're going to be bringing on some very special guests.
Lots of guests.
Lots of guests.
Look to hear from some of your favorite other podcasts. We got some of the Piat boys. We got Noah, Eli. Listen, we got Uncles Mark and Doug from the How to Heretic.
Oh yeah.
We got people. We got voices from the past.
Yeah, there's
on this show.
Oh my God, from the past. The ghosts of New Year's Eve past.
Yeah, Bob Cratchit's coming on. You remember he's going to be great. But it's literally going to be a hoot. We can't tell you. We're in talks with some pretty big names. I can't say that he's coming on, but Barack Obama's probably going to be there. He hasn't confirmed yet, so I can't say that it's going to happen. But look to see some big names.
I mean, that would be pretty good. That would be a get, Dan. I would be pretty stoked.
I'm pretty sure it's going to happen.
No, we're
how could it not?
We're trying. We're going for it. We're going to get some really special people on. Yeah,
but I am starting to get excited about this thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
And there's going to be so many ways for people to get involved and be a part of the whole night. It should be pretty interactive. But we also some details are coming up later in the show. But we have a special.
Yeah,
ask.
listen for that. We're gonna keep talking about this thing. It's fun. But before that, we have to do boring news.
News, Dan. News.
Yeah, what do you got?
Like Dan, a former police officer in Houston, who got all upset.
Are you going to do the voice the whole time?
I'm going to do it this whole time, Dan, because I think it really works for the story, because it's all about this guy who's like so upset. His name's Mark Anthony Aguirre. He's a former Houston Police Department captain.
Oh, wow.
Right, who got fired a while back. But anyway, he's upset because the election was stolen, Dan. That Trump is he's the next president, not this Biden fraud.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but but apparently
there's this whole conspiracy.
It's not real.
Yeah, and it's all being funded by Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, really?
And
where's George Soros in all of this?
I don't know. It's conspicuously missing from this. But
it's Zuckerberg now. Okay,
they supposedly were funding an operation that involved forging ballots using the hands of Hispanic children. With the theory being that the Hispanic children's signatures would not be on file, so they wouldn't be able to compare. But your signature has to be on file, you ding-dongs. That's how
what are you even talking about?
Mail-in voting works. But
that's
anyway,
not how any of this works.
So he's all fucking upset, and he was hired by the Liberty Center for God and Country to at the sum of $266,000 to look into this whole thing, and he found his suspect, an unnamed fellow, because he's the victim of what turns out to be quite the attack. The man who they think is like a mastermind election fraudster,
vote rigger,
was out as doing his job as an air conditioner repairman.
Wait, he was an air conditioning repairman?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's...
Look, He knows the ventilation systems. He can get in. He can get through the HVAC. He can get anywhere.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, they in a dramatic. Well, first of all, this Mark Anthony Aguirre guy, he like contacted like the state police and local police, and he's like telling them what and who, right? Like and why he needs to go after this guy, and so he's asking for police support in his like arrest of this man, and they're like, no, right?
Like,
and then they
fuck
like
off, dude.
and then they get off the phone with him, and they're like, shit, we have to find that guy, right?
Yeah.
And so like there was like this like apparently there was this effort to like find this Mark Anthony Aguirre fellow and prevent him from taking action, because they're like, this guy is going to do this on his own. But
yeah, he's gonna go rogue.
Going totally rogue. He set up an operations center in like a La Quinta or something, and then
La Quinta, for those of you who don't speak Spanish, is Spanish for next to Denny's.
It wasn't a La Quinta, but it was something equally like
might as well have been
something along those lines.
Oh, so it could have been next to an Applebee's. We don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, this guy's in a heap of hurt, because as he like does this like traffic stop with this poor guy just driving his box van, he ends up like the police end up catching up with him, and they arrest him and his accomplices. And basically, this is according to the Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg, who said that Aguirre crossed the line from dirty politics to commission of a violent crime, and we were lucky no one was killed.
Wow.
His alleged investigation was backward from the start, first alleging a crime had occurred, and then trying to prove it happened. But this was, again, I should get back to the whole thing of like who was supporting this and who had paid for the whole operation. It's
follow the money.
Yeah, the Liberty Center for God and Country.
That sounds totally legit, and nothing nefarious could happen there ever.
Right. According to their Facebook page, the goal of the organization is to provide the bold and courageous leadership necessary to restore our nation to its godly heritage by following the strategy that our pilgrim forefathers gave us.
Which I want them to do, because the pilgrim forefathers' whole strategy was just leave the country that they didn't like.
I know. Do that. Go
do it.
Go someplace else. I think that's
find yourself
absolutely wonderful. You're being
an island somewhere.
Absolutely.
You'll be so much happier.
Yeah, except for there will be somebody who already lives on the island, and if they follow the whole pattern, woe be it to the people who already live there.
Yeah, that is very true.
The leader, the head of the Liberty Council for God and Country, he's been posting on Facebook saying things like the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, should be tarred and feathered, which Greg Abbott's a piece of shit, so maybe politics might make beds strange bed, or the enemy of your enemy is your friend. That's probably more
something
apt.
like that.
But he's upset about the coronavirus lockdown measures that took place in the state. Which, did Texas really ever fucking lock down that much? I don't think so. Maybe they did.
I think they had to.
I
think it was like super crazy out of control for a minute there.
Anyway, I'm just
like it is here.
Yeah, but we won't lock down.
No, that'd be crazy.
Anyway, apparently this organization has raised more than $600,000 over the 3-week period leading up to November 1st, with the express purpose to hire private investigators and attorneys to discover, expose, and disrupt the Democrats' massive election fraud scheme in Harris County.
Also the Democrats' massive scheme to try and keep their buildings heated or air conditioned as need be.
Yeah. The one thing, so I do want to get back, I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but this Aguirre fellow, He said the victim of his crime had been using Hispanic children to sign ballots. I just kind of have to revisit that, right? To sign the ballots because their fingerprints would not appear in the data space. Okay, we talked about that. He also claimed that Facebook's founder gave $9.37 billion for, quote, ballot harvesting. So, but here's the deal.
That's a very specific number.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. 9.37. Okay.
I know. But I think there's something interesting here, and we need to keep this, we need to just kind of file this away, this information, because essentially these Nimrods, they're telling us like how their minds work. And so I think that in 3.5 years, we should be really like protecting Hispanic children in this country because I think they think that they could just like round up a bunch of children, right, and have them sign ballots, and that this would fucking work. But this
country has so much to answer for when it comes to Hispanic children. I think that. We're in some trouble there.
This is clearly how their minds work, so watch out for that.
Yes, indeed. And also, like, maybe we should find new conspiracies that will keep them all busy and funneling their money into like trying to discover the new, the root of the conspiracies.
Yeah.
So that they're not paying, they're not paying money into the coffers of like a Trump or whatever.
Absolutely.
Anyway. I'm going to take us to Australia. Ooh. We're going to go down under where it turns out people can be just as dipshittery laden as here.
Oh.
There was a story on ABC News, which is Australia something news. Anyway, I'm just clarifying that it's not American ABC News.
It's probably the Australian Broadcasting Corporation or something like that.
I'm guessing that's correct.
Yeah.
Anywho, they reported on a really sweet sounding place called Healing House. Doesn't that sound nice?
Healing House. I need one of those. Should I sign up for this program?
You might want to wait until the end of the story to make that call. This is meant to be a drug and alcohol rehab center.
Okay.
So yes, you definitely should sign up for it.
I'm fine.
Also, specifically, it's for women. But it turns out maybe not great. The proprietor of Healing House is a woman named Meredith Raymond, who is a religious nutball and has exactly no expertise in the subject of rehab, other than she used to be an addict and she seems to have cleaned herself up. And in her mind, the only way to do it is through Jesus. So she is like she's the most annoying born again person you can imagine. She speaks in tongues. She proselytizes to all of the women in her care. And here's the thing. These women are there because a court has ordered them to be there.
Oh, God.
They are there because they're getting out of jail, and one of the conditions of their bail is that they have to go to a rehab center.
Oh,
well, this place is apparently such a shithole that like literally it's dirty. It's literally like flies stuck to pieces of furniture dirty.
Oh,
like one woman described just dishes everywhere that had not been done, food everywhere that hadn't been taken care of.
Oh my.
Just literally nightmare scenario. Gross, awful. One woman called her attorney and begged him to get her out of there, even if it meant going back to jail. And here's the problem. They do go back to jail. If they can't leave. And if for any reason the proprietors of the place kick them out, they go back to jail. So these proprietors have so much control over their lives, which is why it's definitely not okay that they forced a bunch of the women to be baptized there, including one woman who was a Muslim.
What?
But like, when they have that much control over your life, you don't feel like you can really say no.
Right.
Now, at this place, how many actual qualified therapists do you think that they had, or people who knew anything about addiction, who went to school in any way?
I'm guessing the number must be low. How about 0?
It's 0. Because here's the thing, Australia, you don't have any regulations about these places.
Wow.
Literally fucking none.
You're going to lecture an entire nation?
Yeah, I am. Get it together, Australia. Because literally anyone can say, I'm a rehab place now.
No.
You can just, yeah. Literally one guy, here's a quote from a guy who runs what seems like a decent rehab place. But he said that he's been like trying to contact the government for years, for like 15 years or something, trying to get them to establish some sort of credentialing system, some sort of regulations. He says, quote, I could actually put a shingle at the front door of my house and claim that I'm running a rehab here. He said there's no oversight body that would actually come in and say you can't operate or you have to meet these standards.
Wow.
So,
okay.
So, yeah. So these women are sent there by the courts, and they are literally like tortured and then proselytized at. So that's fun, isn't it?
That's a little disturbing. Yeah.
Super cute.
Yeah, that's gross. That's not cool. Ooh, Dan.
Yeah.
Dan.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, I've got kind of a nice story.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I felt compelled, actually.
That's great.
To share this because, there's so much, even though like Donald Trump is like he lost the electoral vote now. Like that hurdle has been passed. Like we're really like starting to move in this direction where at least some of the worst things that have been bothering us are going to at least no longer be in the White House. But anyway, I thought that maybe just a nice story would be really good.
I like it.
Yeah.
Hit me.
So apparently a bunch of quote world religious leaders have gotten together and to demand a ban on gay conversion therapy.
Great.
And these obviously, it's not like the head of the Mormon church or the Pope is involved in this, but people like Desmond Tutu, right?
That's a big name.
Big name. He's one of the people involved. There are some prominent rabbis, and sounds like let's see, the Bishop of Liverpool.
Okay,
They don't mention the name, so probably not much of a name, but people are kind of like signing on, and I'm just like. Why? What's going on here? Right? Like, have the gays really like gotten
you don't
to
trust it?
Have we gotten to why? Like, no, it's more like the gay rights movement and gay acceptance has gotten to a point that like now it's like they got to cozy up with us. Is that?
I don't know. I don't know, man. For every one of those leaders that signed on to that thing, I can find you 10 who are like, no, convert them.
No, I know.
Torture them back to straight. We need gay is bad.
What's important about these kind of stories is that they bring up the flip side, right?
Right.
Even this one article, in this one article that's both, sort of not celebrating, but, being very positive, like obviously this is a good development that's being reported on. But in that very same story, they also mention that 69 of the UN's 193 member states still outlaw gay sex, right? And that the only places in the world that have introduced nationwide bans on conversion therapy are Brazil, Ecuador, Malta, and Germany. And so, like, in no way should we be seeing a group of anybody getting together as the tide is really turned on this issue, right? But it's always nice that, when I'll take it when Desmond Tutu gets up and calls for an end to gay conversion therapy, right?
100%. And for anyone who's unfamiliar with gay conversion therapy, it is just literally trying to torture gay people into not being gay.
Right.
It doesn't work. It's scientifically proven not to work.
Yeah.
It's scientifically proven to be damaging, and yet people still want to do it.
Right.
So, sweet.
It's cool.
Hippocratic Oath, I guess, doesn't apply. So, anyway, I'm going to give more good news. It's terrible news. This is terrible news.
Oh, no.
You mentioned earlier about things happening in the White House and how, it does seem like the major chances for shenanigans where Trump might find some way to weasel back, to wrest this election away from Biden.
Yeah.
They're dwindling.
Yes.
I still don't feel fully comfortable. I was really glad that everything went right with the Electoral College. That's great. Hurdle cleared. I feel like there's very few more chances for any kind of shenanigans here. But,
as long as the U.S. Marshals, cooperate in removing him, physically from the White House, we're going to be fine.
That's a big if. There's so many ifs. I don't trust it. Anyway, I'll feel better in late January. Anywho, here's one thing that's fun. President Trump is still president and will be for a while, for like a month. And guess what he's going to do? Fuck things up as much as he can, as fast as he can. And one of the things that he's been doing, that he did, he fired Bill Barr. Why would he do that? It's like, you've got weeks, dude. Anyway, one of the things that he's done is set into motion a bunch of rule changes for a bunch of the administrations in the government. So these are the new rules affect the Department of Agriculture, Education, Health and Human Services, Homeland Security, Housing and Urban Development, Justice, Labor, Veterans Affairs, and the U.S. Agency for International Development.
Good God.
All of these agencies had rules about who they could contract with.
Right.
And if they were going to contract with a religious organization, there were rules for that religious organization. For example, there are rules that say that, if a religious organization is a federal contractor and they provide services to citizens, then those citizens have the right to, for instance, they have to tell the citizens, if you're uncomfortable with this being, offered by a religious group, here's a different place that offers the same service that you can go to. They don't have to do that anymore.
Oh, God.
They don't, they used to not be able to have a litmus, like a litmus test for who they could do. Now it seems that they could probably turn away LGBTQ people if they wanted to, or religious minorities if they wanted to. There's a whole, if clients receive a voucher for social services, there used to have to be a secular provider in addition to religious providers if somebody wanted it. Now that requirement out the window.
Jesus Christ.
So it may be that the only provider in your area is the religious provider for whatever the service is.
Wow.
Faith-based service providers, they're their clients are required to be told about their religious freedom rights right now. But when this new rule goes into effect, right before Trump has to leave, like the 18th of January is when this new rule has to go into effect. Basically, now these service providers will not be required to tell their clients about alternatives.
Jesus.
So it's a really ugly thing. It's it basically just prioritizes these religious institutions over the people that need the services. And that's what really sucks. And this is something that the Biden administration can totally just undo. But the question is, A, will they undo it? And B, how long is it going to take? And in the meantime, what's going to happen? So, just a genuine, no purpose behind it, dick move, right as Trump's walking out the door. Look for more of those. They're coming. Well, there's going to be lots.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is probably strategic on their part, right? To like gum up Biden's administration with all these things that they know Biden would want to roll back, right?
Right.
But these things take time. You can't just as sucky as it is, you can't just change these things overnight, even though they just got changed over plus, they have to go through a process. And so I think they're trying to waste as much of Biden's time as president as they possibly can.
Not only that,
and then be able to blame blunders
they
on him.
They purposefully put Biden in the position of either leaving this dick shit in place or rolling it back, and then they can scream bloody murder about look at what he did to all of the religions.
Absolutely.
So there you go. Fun stuff happening.
So fun. Oh, Dan, here's another one that's fun. On the eve of Congress, they're supposed to be approving some sort of COVID relief package. Finally, after not doing anything on the issue for half a year, longer. How long has it been, right? But right on the eve of that, some news has come out about how a lot of the PPP loans, that was the payroll protection program that was part of probably I think the first COVID relief bill that came out in March or April. And the program was designed specifically. I mean, it's right in the name. It was about about allowing small businesses to be able to keep people on their salary during a time when
beautiful. It was a beautiful concept where, if you've got a restaurant that can't stay open because there's COVID, you can keep paying your people,
right,
even though there's no business happening, so that people don't have to be fired. Right. It's brilliant. It was a good concept.
It was really nice, and it was based as it was being offered as a loan that would be forgiven if you met the terms, right? So it was kind of an interesting way that they decided to do it, but also that's kind of a nice mechanism, right? Okay, we're just going to loan you the money now if you apply for it, and then you're going to have to hopefully fill out some forms later and show us how you spent the money and how many people you actually kept on your payroll. And there's a little formula for it to figure how much is going to be forgiven, how much you actually might have to owe back. And, but anyway, like anything that's rushed through Congress too quickly, which this was, and it needed to be, right?
Right.
Some things got snuck in there that most definitely should not have been there. And we're aware already at this point that that churches and religious organizations and whatnot were able to receive these loans, and that actually
massive amounts of money.
These places got huge amounts because they often have, if
lots
you have a mega church, you're going to have a lot of employees. For example, Joel Osteen's Lakewood Church down in Houston has something like 200 or 300 employees, right? And so,
sure,
a payroll loan for that's going to carry them for a while might come to the tune of, $4.4 million. And that is what Lakewood Church got. Now they're saying things like, that Joel, he didn't take a salary during this period. That it all, because he could have, and that is, he absolutely could have, because he's on their payroll, right?
Right.
But they're saying that he didn't, and all of this, and so, there are these. The federal government has never directly funded churches before, right? And so there's
right.
a real problem here, as far as like I would think that if I were a church, I would be a little worried about maybe. Does the government want anything back? And are we setting something up here that where they get to ask us more questions than we're used to having to answer, and
right.
that kind of stuff, right?
Because what really should happen is that we get to audit.
Yeah.
If a church, because right now, the way it's set up, churches are the only organization, religious organizations are the only groups in the country that don't have to tell the government jack shit about what they do with their money.
And so apparently there were actually some people in the religious community who had this fear that the loans would, maybe erode separation of church and state somehow. And they stayed away from it. And I applaud them for, for maybe even thinking that way, even though anyway. But here's the deal. While Joel Osteen shouldn't have gotten the money, there are allegations about others who most definitely should not have received the money, such as Marcus Lamb of the Daystar Television Network, who allegedly, or at least has been accused of, using some of his $3.9 million in the form of one of these loans to pay for a luxury Gulfstream jet.
Oh, of course, obviously,
and they're like, oh, absolutely not. And this has actually forced Daystar to return the money because because they're trying to avoid any scandal that might come of this. So they're cutting it all off at the pass, and they're saying no, here's the money back, which begs,
because you can afford it, you dickheads.
Which also,
you shouldn't have taken it in the first place.
Well, that too, but it also sort of begs the question of if you're so confident that you were using it correctly, why not just show us the paperwork? Right?
Yeah.
Why not just open up a little bit,
Yeah, if you were just using it for payroll,
but
you can show us that.
Seems
that is demonstrable.
They maybe might have paid for a Gulfstream jet with it. That just kind of sounds like it to me. I mean, I don't want to make accusations or anything, but unfounded accusations. But
look, no matter what the case, if you take if you take millions of dollars of government bailout, and then suddenly you have a brand new jet, it's not a great look.
It's not a great look.
It's not a great look.
Right. But I want to just loop back around to what I started off with, which is, of course, that Congress is in the middle of trying to approve another relief package. And when this show drops, it's possible that they've already figured it out by Saturday afternoon, but a lot of people are thinking that they're going to be working through the weekend before they actually have a decision. So, guys, if they haven't passed it yet, call your member of Congress immediately. Do whatever you can to urge them to have better controls about where this money should go, and that it should not in any way, shape, or form be going to any kind of religious organization, period. Not even for payroll. Who cares? No,
fuck them for working for a church anyway, for feeding their family from a church.
Yes. No, I think that the way that probably should have been handled is they probably should have said, oh wait, we've got a little bit of a problem with the churches and they might not be able to make their payroll. They're going to obviously be laying people off. Let's make sure that the federal government is providing like some unemployment to those people.
Yeah,
right.
That's what they should get.
And there was that in place. So
yeah, no bailout for churches.
Right. They should not exactly because, I mean, yeah, totally.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of churches, I am going to. I'll close out our news section with just an interesting thing, which is that some evangelical Christians here in these United States have actually started to catch on to the fact that Trumpism might not be great for them.
Oh?
And might even not be Christian, which you and I have been saying, and all of our listeners have been saying the whole time, which is like, have you read your book?
Yeah.
Have you seen what that Jesus guy was kind of all about? Because
no kidding.
It ain't what Trump talks about. Well, a few bold Christians have actually caught on to this fact, including one, Karen Swallow Pryor, who I will not make a joke about her name, but she tweeted. Here's her tweet. While I did not ever vote for Trump, I did vote for local and state GOP candidates. I'm a lifelong conservative, after all. I am now embarrassed and ashamed that I did so. What a bunch of money-grubbing, power-hungry, partisan cowards who care nothing about conservatism.
Well, good for her.
And she's not the only one.
Good.
Beth Moore, who's an evangelical bigwig, pastor of some sort. She had a tweet. I do not believe these are days for mincing words. I'm 63 and a half years old, and I have never seen anything in these United States of America I found more astonishingly seductive and dangerous to the saints of God than Trumpism. This Christian nationalism is not of God. Move back from it.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
Good. I mean, oh God, I just fear that like most of these people who've already fallen prey to the Christian nationalist mindset, that they're not going to respond to this. Right?
They're responding.
They'll respond, but
they're just not responding the way I'll give you an example. Our old friend Pastor Greg Locke, who was one of the organizers of the recent Jericho march around Washington, D.C. to make sure that President Trump gets to stay, which it worked great. Good job, guys. Pastor Locke replied to her tweet, to Beth Moore's tweet, saying this, he said, "Ma'am, you've honest to God lost your mind. This trashy rhetoric is why America is in the place that she is. You say move away? I rebuke you in the name of Christ." This is a fucking tweet, people. He says, "You are no friend to babies, Israel, religious liberty, or the nuclear family. Sit down."
No. He told her to sit down?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So the optics on a white dude telling a woman to sit down are not awesome.
No, he doesn't care.
Oh, no, he does. He cares. He loves those bad optics.
He's proud of being a shitty old man.
Oh, he loves every bit of his misogyny. So there you go. Some people might be seeing it. Who knows?
But
it's definitely the vast minority for sure. But you know, they might be seeing it.
I know. I hope people in the rank and file that they're not all completely lost. I just worry that they are.
Well, we'll see.
It's going to take so much more than that.
Who can predict? I can't predict. If you at home can predict, feel free to write into us. podcast@thankgodimatheist.com is the email address.
Or call and leave us a voicemail. The telephone number is 424-666-8442. Stick around, guys. There is more show coming up. Hey, Dan.
Hey.
So, like we promised at the beginning of the show, we have some information for our listeners about how they can become involved. In
the New Year's Eve extravaganza spectacular.
Exactly. So,
because we want you guys, we want to hear your voices. We want you people involved. It's not just about us.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to celebrate our whole community, and we want you guys to be able to have a voice in that. And so what we would like to ask for anyone and everyone, like this could be a lot of fun. We're asking for you guys to submit videos, right, that you can just shoot with your cell phone. Like a 1 minute long video. Send it in to us, wishing everyone in the community a happy new year, right? And tell us why you're looking forward to 2021. And you can take any spin on that you want. Like, and you can come in any form you want. Like, you want to get super creative, get crazy creative. The
only real rules here are that A, keep it under a minute.
Yeah.
B, we don't know, and understand, we don't know how many of these we're going to get. We certainly can't promise to put everybody out there, but we're going to really try to get as many of these up as we can. But yeah, keep it under a minute. Tell us what sucked about 2020 and what you're excited for 2021. And just send them in. You go to our website. It's thankgodimatheist.com/NYE videos. So thankgodimatheist.com/NYE videos. And there will be instructions there on how you can upload the video to us. Hey, we got somebody. I want, this is the time when we play a voice from the world.
Voice?
I want
a voice?
Yes. A voice from the world. And this voice is Deanna Lorraine, who is just a clear treasure. She is from InfoWars. I didn't know that InfoWars had anybody that wasn't Alex Jones, but here she is, and she is talking about the COVID vaccine that's rolled out. She has some misgivings.
Apparently, Donald Trump just said he's willing to take the vaccine also live on TV. He said he's also willing to take the COVID-19 vaccine live on TV. And again, I don't like this. Trump, probably 80% of your base does not want that vaccine. They are not willing to take a foreign rushed substance and jab it into our arms. I don't care who takes it. I don't care if Jesus takes it. I'm not taking the vaccine. And it's weird. And it makes me feel uncomfortable that President Trump is jumping on the bandwagon with Obama and the Clintons and Bill Gates and now Fauci and Cuomo saying they're going to take this live on TV. We don't care. In fact, the more you guys do this weird, desperate attempt to try to convince us that the vaccine is safe, that was rushed at warp speed, the more uneasy I feel with the vaccine. I don't care if President Trump. So President Trump, if you're smart, if you don't want to lose your base of support, please don't keep jumping on this vaccine bandwagon and saying you're going to join these clowns and take the vaccine live on TV. Please.
Oh, they're so done with Jesus, Dan.
Jesus himself. If Jesus were to take the vaccine, she's still not going to do it. She's smarter than all of them.
Oh my God! And it's just so weird and uncomfortable that Trump would do this. Just weird.
Can I just say, a friend of mine on Facebook who is an ER doctor, and has been sort of talking about this whole time, and he's actually relatively conservative about everything.
Yeah.
He didn't want there to be, mandates if they didn't need to happen. He was, he was a sort of like, let's wait and see on a lot of things. Uh-huh. Now he's not, because every bed in this fucking state is full, right. and people who need care aren't getting it because, this sucks. And he just got his vaccine because he's a, frontline guy. Yeah. But he made a really interesting point about the vaccine, which is because, yes, we don't know what the long-term effects of this vaccine are, if there are any. We don't know, it's brand new tech in terms of vaccine tech. It's the mRNA thing, and we don't know if there are new consequences to that we don't have any understanding of. But guess the fuck what? We also don't know what the long-term effects are of a COVID infection. Right. So you're taking a chance either way. We know for a fact that there are some currently viewable long-term side effects that can happen. It's not guaranteed that it'll happen, but there are definitely long haulers who are getting infected with COVID and really struggling.
Yeah.
But you're taking a chance either way. You might as well try to just not get the disease and go get the vaccine, everybody. Just when it's your turn, definitely do it. And unless you have some, very valid medical reason not to. Anyway, we had some folks write into us.
Indeed.
This is from first Michael, who says, "Hey guys, I don't know if you've noticed, but Christianity seems to have a real stronghold on the holiday music selection. So I wanted to write in and urge everyone to watch and listen to the great Tim Minchin's atheist Christmas song, White Wine in the Sun," which I also encourage this. I will warn you, it makes me fucking cry every single time, because it's not a Christmas song. It's about getting together with family and how special that is. And it's a very sweet song.
Oh, Dan.
And I'm a sap. What can I say? I'm a sap. This is an unsigned email that we got. It says, I watch YouTube. I watch a YouTube who covers a lot of MLMs. That's multi-level marketing, for those of you who don't know. Formerly known as pyramid schemes, but now they actually have a product, so they're not called that anymore. This person goes on, from her and my own personal experience, multiple MLMs are located in Utah.
That's true.
Is there some reason why so many MLMs are in Utah? Are MLMs especially attractive to Mormons?
I think they're especially attractive to the gullible. And so, I don't know, there's something slightly especially gullible about Mormons, right? Is that what it is?
Kind of, but I think that the real reason that they are so huge here, and you're not imagining this.
Yeah.
It's an enormous thing here. But I think the reason is because Mormons have built-in networks. Yeah. It's you have a network of people built in, because all of the people at your church, all the people in your ward are you've got more quote unquote friends than most people who aren't Mormons. So that's the main thing.
And let's also face it, Mormons, a large percentage of Mormons are highly trained in the art of aggressive sales tactics.
That's true. They were all like a lot of these people went on missions.
And at the time, as a 19-year-old, when you're being trained with like these really manipulative techniques to like try to get
the hard sell.
As to like how to get people to commit to things. They called it the commitment pattern. And it's just sales. It's like now as an adult, I see everything that they were teaching us were just sales techniques. So
right. Yeah, and plus not only that, but then Mormons trust other Mormons a lot. So actually you can do pretty well with an MLM selling to your friends and neighbors because they trust you.
And I'll add this to it. There doesn't seem to be a lot of scruples amongst sort of Mormon businessmen as long as things are legal.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if you're screwing somebody over as long as it's legal. to screw them over.
Totally. That's so true.
That's just like Utah to a T in my mind.
Yeah. 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 Some of the most like evil business practices I've ever heard of were done by, practicing good Mormons.
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go. Max in Mississippi wrote into us with this final thing. Earlier this week, Governor Tate Reeves of Mississippi declared this Sunday a day of fasting, prayer, and humility.
Oh, good.
Isn't that nice?
That's nice.
Yeah. Max says, I know that it would be easy to make this into a joke, and it is, you're right, or sneer about the people in Mississippi, but there is something tragic in this story. Indeed, my heart breaks. It's damned hard to be an atheist down here, but Mississippi is my home, and the people of this state deserve something more than this piece of theater.
Yeah.
In his address, the governor asserts that we know there is power in prayer, but I cannot imagine a more wrong-headed statement. I sometimes ask people who say such things, why did God ignore the prayers in Auschwitz? Or why did God allow Africans and African Americans to endure generations of slavery? They shrug and say something about God being mysterious or free will. And now we are asked to humble ourselves before a God who presumably unleashed this virus upon the fragile and mortal beings he created? To what end? The people of Mississippi are among the poorest in the nation. We bear the legacies of slavery and racism. We suffer from chronic diseases and high infant mortality, and we die all too young. I have witnessed scenes of poverty in this state that are absolutely shocking. How much more humble can we be? In trying to unite the people of the state around religion, he is not only putting the power of the state behind religion and stoking intolerance, he is ignoring the simple truth that science will save us from the pandemic. If we want to be grateful and humble, we should direct those feelings toward the educated and dedicated researchers who discovered how to make vaccines from strands of mRNA. I wish that people could see that and be inspired and proud. Thanks for all you do, Max. So, yeah. That was a nice email. Yeah. I don't know that there's much more to say about it.
He said it really well, so thank you, Max.
Yeah.
Well, we have some donors to thank, Dan.
Well, I think we should do just that,
then. Let's do.
And we
have a handful to thank. So we have 2 new deacons. We have Bettina and Keeley. So thank you to the both of you.
Thank you so much.
And we have 3 priests, Dan. We have John, Marzina, and Kenneth. And I want to also mention here, we've got a mix of euros and pounds in here. So we will take your local currency. So
yeah, whatever crazy currency you're rocking. Apparently, we'll just take it.
We're fine with it.
We are shameless about that.
So anyway, thank you guys so much. It means so much to have your support. And what these folks did is they went to our website, thankgodimatheist.com, clicked on the support tab, followed it on over to Patreon, and became patrons of the show. So that's just fantastic. And then, as always, Dan, we have our top donor, our Lord and Savior, Davis.
Still the reigning champion.
I know.
Way to go, Davis. Thank you so much.
Hey, Dan.
Yes.
We're going to spare everybody any announcements about the New Year's Eve party. We're really excited about it, but we're not going to mention it.
No, because we already have quite a lot.
Yeah. So, what have we got?
So instead, what we're going to talk about is critical race theory.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And the reason that we're going to talk about this is because of a story that came out last-ish week about a group of Southern Baptist seminary presidents.
Oh.
6 in total.
Okay.
Who came out with a joint statement, which nobody asked them for, which said that critical race theory was incompatible with the Baptist faith and message. Now, just for anyone who's unfamiliar, critical race theory is, it had its origins back in the 1980s. It basically, the long and the short of it is that there is systemic racism in various cultures, including the American society,
which is true.
That individual races, an individual racist doesn't need to exist for the institution to be continually racist, to have racist policies and procedures and that sort of thing in place, and for the institution to continue as racist and to hold people back. And that, and it also kind of acknowledges that, like, white supremacy exists, and that white privilege exists, and that some races happen to just sort of by virtue of just being who they are, they happen to have an institutional advantage. For anyone who is a thinker, and if you're not on board with this, you got to come around. This is all very clearly and obviously true. Yeah. It's just all you have to, like, it doesn't take long to look at like the arguments being made by very smart people and realize that this is very clearly the case.
Yeah, all you have to do is look at, I mean, if you're American, just look at America and the society that you live in and ask yourself some questions about, how you're treated and the advantages that you might have versus those of another.
And none of this is to say that it can't be hard for a white person. None of this is to say that white people don't experience poverty and difficulties.
Right. Oh,
it's
absolutely.
not. That's not the question here. The question is just, was your race one of the things holding you back? And if you're white, it wasn't. And if you're not white, it may have been, or probably was, or probably is.
Yeah.
Anywho, it's not that hard. It's not that controversial. And it doesn't mean... And knowing, believing in critical race theory doesn't hurt you. It doesn't do anything to you. So the fact that these seminary presidents felt the need to come out and say, "Oh, we're definitely not going to teach that," and that it's incompatible with their statement of faith is insanity. It is, what it proves is, and why should I be surprised by this? It is the Southern Baptists. They've got the word Southern right there in their name, for crying out loud.
Well, I mean, we talked about, 2 months ago on the show, the Southern Baptists. There's a group of them who are trying to drop Southern, right, from their name because their concerns over obviously their own racist past in their religion, right, in their church.
And people who don't live in the South are like, I don't know. Yeah. I'm probably not going to join a church that's like, they're a little bit on the racist side. And because, it's an organization. Southern Baptists were founded by people who owned slaves and who wanted slavery to continue as an institution. So it's like, they're not great. But here's the thing. The South is packed full of people of color.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are Southern Baptists. And now, with this statement, there was one pastor that I read about this week who broke, he's a pastor of a big mega church, and he's disaffiliating with the Southern Baptist theological whatever it is. He's disaffiliating because of this, because he's black. And how do you be black and hear that and be okay? But I mean, so really, you and I come from Mormonism, and Mormonism has danced around this game for a long time too.
Has its own special history with race.
And it is special. But it's like basically all that acknowledging critical race theory would do to these people is it would sort of make them look at their own institution.
Yeah.
All it asks of them is like, are there ways in which your institution might have sort of systemic racism, on some level? And they just don't want to do it.
Yeah, well, they'd have to admit that their little tribe, that there's something that wasn't perfect about it, right?
Yeah.
And that's shitty thinking. We all need to be willing to face the problems with that any group that we belong to might have, right? With whatever it is, that kind of just blind loyalty to a group and just defending it just because, right? I mean, that's all they're doing. It's just
right.
Anyway.
Yeah, so there you have it, and of course now the deflections start, right? So now they're saying, well, this is just part of a whole Marxist thing, which they get from nothing other than somebody has successfully associated the Black Lives Matter movement with Marxism, and the Black Lives Matter movement does embrace the concept of, critical theory and critical race theory, and therefore critical race theory is Marxist, which, that's not necessarily a good argument or true or, logical, but at very least then they can deflect away and say that it's just communism. This critical race theory. Critical theory in general, it's just communism.
Oh my God.
And everybody's that way they can look at people and say everyone's lot is of their own making. This isn't about the institutions, this isn't about the society. It's, if you're poor, if you suck, that's your fault. Too bad.
Well, yeah, and God wanted you to be poor anyway, so.
Right? You got to have some poor folks, otherwise who are the rich people going to give their alms to?
Indeed.
Yeah. So there you go. Religion is racist, everybody, just so that you know. That's they every now and then they like to come out and say it with their out loud voice, which is a bad idea, but they do it anyway. So, there you go. If you have anything that, I'll bet a bunch of our listeners have a bunch of stories about the racism in their religious pasts.
Ooh, I'd love to hear them.
We'd sure love to hear that. Feel free to write into us, podcast@thankgodimatheist.com.
Or call and leave us a voicemail. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, hey, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and click the like button.
And if you'd like to join the TGIA Members Only Lounge on Facebook, go first to thankgodimatheist.com/members only. That's the best way to find the community.
Yeah, Facebook tries to hide it from you, but it's a closed group, so nobody has to know that you're you're not revealing anything to any of your friends, but it's a great group, and you'll find a lot of really great support and fun people there.
Yeah,
so
and you
do that.
And you should also find us on Twitter @TGIAtheist.
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much to the Red Rock Hot Club for the use of their fine music.
And a big thanks to Gordon Johnston for the use of his music.
And thanks to all of you, dear friends, for tuning in.
Bye-bye.